June 15, 2012. This is Justice Done Dirt Cheap. We're here with Evelyn Greene. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, Andre. It's been a long process, a lot of documents, a lot of trying to give service without getting beaten up, you might say.
Yes.
And this morning I'm serving Chief McKnight of Fredericton City Police.
Yes.
And the officers who beat me up in ambulance in Brunswick.
Yes.
And contrary to what Don McPherson said from the Irving newspaper, the Daily Gleaner, he thinks that I have had to, or he has published that I've basically lost all my rights to sue and everything or whatever. It just came across as though nothing worked out for me. I abandoned my private prosecution quite a long time ago so I could take up a civil suit. Okay? So this message goes to Don McPherson. Get your facts straight, buddy. Stop eating. Thanks.
All right. So here we'll catch him when he comes out. So you have a notice of action and statement of claim?
Yeah. Let me forget my purse.
Yes.
I just put them in here. And then this, well, I think you open these boxes.
No.
This is the letter for Chief are you recording?
Yes.
Oh, okay. This is the, what is known as the notice of action.
Yes.
Okay. You give 2 months notice to any Crown corporation, and you cannot give it to the Crown itself. You have to give it to the Crown corporation, such as Ambulance New Brunswick is a Crown corporation.
Yes.
But it is illegally incorporated as a private company as well.
Yes.
However, you best serve them a copy as a Crown entity.
Yes.
Okay? So I'm serving the police department.
Yes.
And I was told if you don't know they're a Crown corporation or not, then you just go ahead and send everybody a copy.
Yes.
Just in case, because the government won't tell me who's Crown and who isn't Crown.
Yes.
And I still have not got the Crown documents that we're supposed to be able to look at the Department of Health.
Yes.
So this is, Andre, the notice of action that was filed December the 2nd,
Yes.
2011.
Yes.
And Don McPherson from Irving newspaper knows that because I gave them a copy, but they chose not to print it.
Yes.
They only want to print negative things. And this is the actual claim itself. It names many people in the province.
Yes.
And it can be obtained at the clerk's office.
Yes.
It's Evelyn Greene versus the province of New Brunswick and many, many other people.
What's the file number?
The file number is S as in Frank, C 23811.
Okay.
And it was filed on January the 3rd.
Yes.
And it has to be served before the end of this month.
Yes.
June, which I'm working on doing now. And so what the judges don't give me in disclosure in the Crown prosecution, I'm hoping to get through the discovery process of
Yes.
civil litigation.
Yes.
And I'm also going after the parent company, Medavie Inc., who has its headquartered office in Nova Scotia.
Yes.
And Medavie Inc. Sometimes says it's operating under the name of Medavie Blue Cross, and then other times you'll see a registration saying that it's a partnership type of business. So they're very hard to pin down because I don't know how they've managed to do so many corporate flip-flops, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And I do know too that Medavie EMS, the company that is for profit with secret shareholders and is a subsidiary of Ambulance New Brunswick.
Yes.
It is under the parent company, Medavie Inc., who says it's non-profit.
Yes.
And Medavie Blue Cross. But this Medavie EMS, or Medavie Inc., is not non-profit.
Yes.
But it's a subsidiary of a non-profit company.
Yes.
Okay? So that's how they do these, like Ponzi type schemes, or like building an empire. There's so many subsidiaries and things like that, people get lost in the paper trail.
So they get all the benefits without actually paying the price that other ordinary businesses would.
Well, it's sort of like too, like I've got the letter from Trinidad asking me for more information.
Yes.
Because Medavie EMS had sent a bid to Trinidad to send a fleet of ambulances from Canada for upwards of $90 million a year, and it was going to be all equipped and the whole thing.
Yes.
They won the bid with Trinidad.
Yes.
And then the Trinidad government was concerned about the financial irregularities, right?
Yes.
I've got a copy of that, and I wrote them, and Medavie EMS has lost that bid.
Yes.
Okay? And I want to talk about that later today, because it ends up that at 210 John Street, where Ambulance New Brunswick is headquartered in Moncton,
Yes.
my process server went there the other day, and I asked him, I said, ask the Alan Stephen, the head honcho there, who the company SMU NBEMS is. They're on their business cards. Robin O'Hara uses that for his email address and the whole 9 yards, and it's not registered at corporate registry.
Yes.
Okay? So when my process server, Christopher Burden, went down there, he asked Mr. Stephen, he said, here's this letter to SMU NBEMS, who is it? And he said, well, they're a pharmacy who are in the building.
Yes.
Then I find out that the pharmacy has two other names and is not registered.
Yes.
And they're like, they mail out prescriptions across Canada and internationally.
Yes.
And they seem to cater to the university kids too. And they will send the prescriptions just on the basis of a doctor's note. And it's all sent in a brown envelope that is very discreet to even the university students.
Yes.
And this, they're doing very well, okay? They're doing very well. And there's a company I have linked up to that kind of bothers me a little bit. I'm not quite sure if they're the genesis of any of this type of operation, but it's a Heenan Blakey law firm in Toronto area.
Yes.
And it's has John Cretchen as one of the legal consultants.
Yes.
He's a lawyer. And one of the senior partners just recently quit, and it was in the National Post.
Yes.
I would like this all to go to the National Post, if we could get it up there, and tell them about what I have uncovered. And would you want your daughter or son to be going to university and getting these discrete medical prescriptions and stuff in brown envelopes, and the company can dispatch or sell Schedule 1 and Schedule 2 prescription drugs, okay?
Yes.
And Schedule 1 is is under the Controlled Substances Act.
Yes.
And I've got more, okay?
Yes.
I've got more. And they've got one person hired at that pharmacy, that's at Ambulance, New Brunswick at 210 John Street,
Yes.
who is mandated to get to the university students.
Yes.
Okay? What better way than when, you know, you go to a university student who may be vulnerable or may be trying to write exams and need something to stay up all night or whatever. I'm not saying this is the case, but I do read the newspapers and listen to the news. Not the Brunswick news.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong. I don't hear too much about any of this. I reported most of this to Irving newspaper, okay?
Yes.
My position has been from the get-go that Irving or one of his relatives is involved in this Ponzi scheme of multiple subsidiaries.
Yes.
And one of the people who works at this pharmacy that is not registered at Service New Brunswick came there from Brunswick News.
Yes.
And he is an IT guy. And there's going to be a lot more. You and I are going to sit down this weekend and show just what we know.
Yes.
Okay? Because this is the kind of thing that is hush-hush. I have the documentation that went to Trinidad.
Yes.
And the paper TNT Mirror prints a lot of good information there. And they seem to be more on the ball than our government.
Yes.
You know, in terms of accountability and making sure contracts are done right. And there's an old saying, getting back to Heenan Blakey, a lot of people will say, well, John Fredericton, he wouldn't be involved in anything. And I'm not saying for sure he is, except that in 2004, he was criticized for patronage jobs to people who were his friends and so forth, for jobs that they may not have been up to qualified to get, but they got them through patronage, which is a form of white-collar corruption.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And also, Mr. Chrétien was criticized for spending public funds in Quebec and putting it out there that it was for another reason. And
Yes.
I have a book all on this stuff, and I'd like to know if Heenan Blakey is involved in this scheme of pharmacies across Canada.
Yes.
Especially the one in New Brunswick, okay?
Yes.
In any way.
Yes.
Because I have heard nothing from Detective Ed Smith from the crime unit here, who is supposed to be looking into this stuff.
Yes.
And I have very little doubt that when the police investigate themselves, it's usually, I'd like to see the OPP and the RCMP get involved.
Yes.
Because this goes down to the states too. A lot of these people who get into Ponzi schemes and this type of thing are government people with connections and lots of money, and then they do deals down, like let's say Trinidad. There is a company in Dieppe as well known as Malay Industries,
Yes.
who does all the refurbishing of ambulances here in the province.
Yes.
Now, in this province, 25% of ambulances are taken off the street every year, sent to Malay Industries, refurbished, and then sold on to places like Newfoundland and Ontario to private companies. And then I was told that last year, 20 Mexicans came to Dieppe, bought refurbished ambulances for somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000. 20 Mexicans come they took 20 ambulances back to Mexico. But my question is, what else did they take back?
Yes.
Because there's this gold mine of a pharmacy down there, and were they taking pills and stuffing it into the ambulances or something like that?
Yes.
This is the kind of stuff we have to report to the people in the States, like the FBI or whoever is looking into drug control and how it gets into their country.
Yes.
You know.
Oh, can I interrupt, folks?
Pardon?
Can I interrupt for a second?
Sure.
And yours?
I'm Corporal Chandler.
Who?
Corporal Chandler.
We were supposed to meet the chief.
Well, the chief is waiting for you.
Where does he want to meet us?
Right through that door.
Oh, okay.
Now, it's just you, Evelyn. You're serving the documents, okay? So, Andre, you're going to have to wait in the lobby if you don't mind, please.
I really don't want to go alone.
Well, Andre is not going to be going in, okay? This is a secure police facility.
Well, he's one of the most polite people I know.
Okay, and he can stay here. He can stay here waiting for you.
He doesn't even swear.
Oh, it's okay. We don't mind swearing because we hear it all the time.
I thought the chief would like to come out and...
Well, we're going to go back there, but he's waiting for you right now. So
Okay.
as soon as you're prepared to go, he's right through that door, and we're going to go back and meet him.
So you're going to guarantee that all these days no one's...
Oh, absolutely, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. No question about it.
I don't want to end up in ID with bruises.
Nope.
So what's the reason that I can't go back with Evelyn?
Because this is a secure police facility.
Okay.
And you have no reason to be back there, okay?
Well, couldn't the chief come out and just receive the documents?
Can't he just come out and...
No, we're going to back there. And the reason that we're going to do it back there is because everything is video and audio recorded. Because I know you have issues with us, okay? And we don't want you to feel...
Oh, you're doing it in camera.
On camera, absolutely.
Okay, I would really like my friend Andre to be there.
Yeah. He's not going to be able to go back, Evelyn, okay? So the chief's waiting for you.
Okay.
Okay?
If that's the way
Yeah.
it is, we're not going to fight the process.
Okay.
Because I just want mostly to get
Yeah,
this...
let's go get it done, very fast. Okay.
I'll be right back, Andre.
All right.
Is that it, Smith? No.
Looks like my shirt for me.